My name is Chad Smith, and I grew up in Round Rock since I was 10 years old. And prior to that, my dad was military, so we lived all over the country. I lived in Kentucky, Connecticut, Owensboro, Texas, Monterey, California, and in Wyoming. What brought me into law enforcement, my dad is a dispatcher here, has been for 30 years. He's reluctant to retire. He enjoys it, and he's the best there is. Prior to joining law enforcement, I've worked in retail for 15 years. I always needed a more of a sense of fulfillment. I always had a regret of not joining the military when I was younger, and this is my form of service to fulfill my need to serve country, community, in any capacity. I started the academy March 8 years ago, and I was on night shift in this sector of Austin for about 6.5, almost 7 years. And then for about 6 months, I left night shift and I went to day shift. I was day shift in the same area out of our same substation. And then in November, I transferred out to be a full-time instructor at our academy. In my experience, the worst day on the job is going to be pretty common, I think, for a lot of people. Any trauma that involves children is definitely hard to cope and deal with. Like particular incidents, outside of dealing with children. For whatever reason, we have a lot of auto pedestrian accidents in Austin, and being exposed to that, that's not normal. I don't think it'll ever be normal, but having to see that and deal with that, and try to not compartmentalize it, but talk to people about it and get it out of your system. That's always a pretty hard call to deal with. So I think anyone with children and any accident involving a pedestrian in a car. Pretty early on in my career, probably within my first 6 months as an officer, I went to a call in this sector at a motel, and there was trauma to an infant that the father inflicted. Being a part of that and part of the investigation, ultimately the child ended up dying, and at the hands of the own father, and in my opinion, one of the worst ways imaginable. You get all the emotions. You get emotions of anger. You get emotions of sadness. When I say you get all the emotions, there's no emotion of happiness or anything, obviously, but all the emotions that of frustration and sadness, and it makes you wonder why people do that sort of thing. And when you're exposed to that, it's hard to really get past that, especially the first several days or even weeks beyond that, because you think about that sort of thing that you're exposed to for quite a while. I've always been fortunate to have been part of really good and close shifts, and that we're able to talk amongst each other and have that brotherhood, have a good sense of camaraderie. Our peer support program is excellent. They're always available for us to reach out at any given time. We have our crisis unit, civilian unit that works for the city that will come out to calls for not only civilians but officers alike that they're professional counselors, and we're able to talk to them and get through that and take advantage of their services. One day that sticks out to me, obviously as a police officer, part of it is there's always a generic answer of wanting to serve and help, and I think that's true. We all embody that, but there's always that drive to get criminals off the street, people doing bad things to other people. And there's one day that stuck out that I came in. I was working night shift, and I came in early for an evening shift to get a little overtime to make a little extra money. And on this evening shift, there was this guy that had been robbing people and businesses at knife point. And he was doing this the day before, and this was the second day he was doing this. And he was doing this at a pretty alarming rate. While on that evening shift, he had already done this to 3 people and businesses combined. And so there was a sense of urgency to try to find this guy. Descriptions went out, officers are looking for him. He's on a bicycle or he's on foot, so he's not getting away very fast, but we just can't find him. I went on into my night shift. This behavior, he kept going. My corporal at the time had located him riding his bicycle, and myself and I had a PPO, a cadet, or an officer that had just graduated. He was training with me. He was in the passenger seat. He actually located him on the bike. So we were able to track him down and stop him, and successfully stop him and take him into custody. And he was charged for, I think, 8 aggravated robberies with a deadly weapon. So for me, that's a particular incident that sticks out. It was very engaging to get someone that's doing bad things to innocent people that don't deserve it off the street, at least for the time being. It did make me feel like that particular mission of getting this guy off the street was a success. It wasn't just as easy as okay, there he is, let's go stop him. We had to drive from another part of the sector that we were in and try to anticipate where he's going. That way we're not just backtracking the entire time. We're employing tactics to find him, and using our sector familiarization to locate him and to ultimately cut him off to where we believed he was going at the time. And so to do that and again take someone that was doing bad things to good people off the street, gave me a sense of pride of doing so, which is a big reason to become a police officer. And that particular incident, when I was young, when I was in high school, I worked at a Target, and when we were at Target, or when I worked there, I got robbed, and I had a revolver pointed 6 inches from my face. I was 16 years old. That thought came back to me afterwards, and just thinking about it in my mind, and again decompressing in the same manner that you would to trauma. You're processing this big event that happened and that you took this person off the street. To work for the Austin Police Department, it definitely has had its ups and downs. I personally have always had the outlook within my particular shifts that I've always worked for, I've had good supervisors and good shift mates. And so a lot of that, a good supervisor will absorb a lot of the negative that may be coming in from the outside, or something that they're having to deal with, maybe from a higher level supervisor. On the flip side, where we're at right now with our current Chief Henderson, I feel like this is one of the better places that I have felt as an officer, as far as my particular morale and working for the department. She's a strong leader. She's a strongest leader, in my opinion, that we've had in quite some time to overlook the entire department. And that I'm not too trying to downplay anything that our prior chiefs have done. They certainly have contributed in a positive manner as well. But overall, working for the organization of the Austin Police Department, if my personal outlook is if I can't control it, I try not to worry about it so much. I try not to let it impact me. And working for good supervisors like I've been fortunate to have to do so, I think has always been able to keep me to have that positive attitude. So working at the academy full-time I'm a cadet instructor, we have to work on backfill. So if you don't work on patrol as a daily job, you have to work what's called backfill. You have to work 6 patrol slots or 6 patrol shifts in a designated quarter of the year. And when that quarter runs out, you have to sign up for 6 more shifts. What that does is it pulls any officer that does not work patrol away from their full-time assignment, my responsibility at the academy this particular week, we have role plays going on. So we have officers coming off of patrol to come out and not volunteer their time because they're getting paid, but they're actors and they're coming out as evaluators. And as a part of the academy staff, we put on these role plays so the cadets can get reality-based training. That's a pretty big task, and it generally requires the majority, if not all, instructors to be out there. By multiple instructors not being out there for a larger event, for what our primary responsibility is, we have to come out and assist with patrol, which is, working patrol is not an issue. We all enjoy it, especially to stay on our toes. But it does impact our daily jobs that's outside of patrol, in my case at the academy. For the officers that come off patrol to come out and be an actor at the academy, right? So right now, there's officers that should be working right now that are at the academy. So it's taken away from our everyday tasks. If you have officers that are more specialized, that have duties like defensive tactics at the academy, which is officers that do the training for hand-to-hand combat, how to use tactics to engage in someone, how to safely handcuff someone, and so forth. Those are very specialized officers. That's a very specialized skill. Oftentimes when it's their duty to train or time to train, they have to work backfill, and so they're in the same boat like I am now with role plays, and there's even less of those officers than there are for academy staff. And so officers are getting pulled out from all over the city from their daily tasks to do this because we're so short on patrol officers. That includes officers that work crimes, that have cases to review. I'm fortunate I don't have cases to review. But any officer that spends time reviewing cases, detectives, anything of that nature, for assaults, burglaries, whatever it is, their cases are, I'm sure they're stacking up because they have to spend their time on patrol to take care of it. So with our staffing shortage, it has an all-around impact on the overall work that we do, whether we work at the academy or we're a detective. I feel like the majority of Austin, the majority of citizens in general, regardless kind of where you're at, but we're talking about Austin, I feel like the majority of people do support police and do want a police presence. I think that a lot of times that that's not the loudest group, unfortunately. And rightfully so, it's more of a humble approach and try to build relationships, right? I'm all for officers and police building relationships with the community. I do feel like overall we have a support for the community, but we're so exposed to the negativity of it. And I think that's just policing in general. It's a very polarizing topic. And the way the news and the media cover it, it's difficult to sometimes feel supported. My personal experience, I have felt supported, especially working on a day schedule. When I worked on a day patrol shift for that roughly 6 months, I got to interact with people on their normal day-to-day schedule, whether they're at work, they're going to school, and really got to talk to people and listen to what they need from us and feel how they're supporting, just even when they just say, thank you for your service. And to me, that's a good deal. As opposed to working nights, you interact with a lot of people, and you interact with a lot of people that need you and support you, but you're also not exposed to businesses that are always open. You're not exposed to people that are at parks, playing basketball, whatever it is, out there with children because it's nighttime. And so you don't necessarily feel that or see that as often as you do on a day shift. There are some influences in Austin that are here for the better, whether it's large-scale podcasters and stuff like that. that do get out and voice their support and do put on events that support the Austin Police Department and its officers. I think that's becoming a little more prevalent as well. To join the Austin Police Department, I think your best resource is to go to online to www.apdrecruiting.org, and you're gonna find a plethora of information there, that everything you will need to be able to join. When I applied and got into the academy 8 years ago, that's what I did. And the same approach is there. It's just better, it's more efficient. I do believe that one of our best tools to get people to apply with us is, if you're interested, you can go online and fill out a form to do a ride-out with a patrol officer and experience them in their day-to-day. And you could do that whether it's on a day shift, an evening shift, or a night shift. So you're exposed to a variety of calls and what we do day-to-day. That's an excellent tool, in my opinion. If you want to be or if you're a police officer, the backbone of it is that you care and you want to help. You want to help people in their worst moments, in their time of crisis. You want to help to get criminals off the street and hopefully make someone's day a little bit better when you interact with them. I'm very well aware that not all interactions with police are good, but I think the overall backbone of police officers is because we want to help. The human side of it is we wouldn't be here if we didn't want to help. I believe the vast majority of people are very good people and want to help. Whether they're willing and able to help, they're just willing, or they're just able, or whatever the case is. We have families, we have spouses, children, our day-to-day lives, we have our hobbies, and probably the vast majority of the time, if we're not at work, if you don't know us personally, you probably wouldn't be able to tell a lot of us are police officers. Some people maybe, based off maybe tattoos or something like that, but you probably wouldn't be able to, like me on the street, you probably wouldn't be able to tell I'm a police officer when I'm out and about with my family, doing my hobbies and stuff like that. And certainly do our best to, me personally, not think about being a police officer when I'm not at work, because I'm focused on my family time. My family is number one, and I believe a lot of police officers feel the same way. And I believe a lot of people feel the same way about putting their family first and trying to do the best for what they can for themselves, for their family, and then to be good people towards other people.